Well, I mean, it was. It was besides just being awesome. I mean, and tremendous. It was actually a dream come true for me for the reason of my son will be 13 in April, and he's seen me do indie shows since he was a little kid. So to him, it's not a big deal. You know, it's just dad. You know, he wrestles, and that's what he does, and he's silly and goofy, and that's what he does. But the one thing I've wanted to do, it's because he's never saw it, was to be in that WWE ring. So for him to be able to see that, that to me was what made it so special. I mean, being back in that ring and being back in that locker room was special. It was awesome. You know, we went back. It was, you know, everyone in the locker room, arms wide open. Again, it was a pleasure. It was a treat. It was awesome to be there. But for me personally, being able for him to be able to see me in that ring was the greatest. And my wife actually set up her phone and videoed the match on TV while videoing him, so I could actually got to be able to see his reactions, which made it even better to be able to see his reaction of watching me come out live on TV and live at the same time. I mean, it was beyond special.
That's so awesome. And like I said, when the announcement came, it was on a weekend. And I think it started to build, and everybody was kind of skipping over Raw. If you're an old-school fan, you were kind of skipping over Raw and waiting for SmackDown for you guys to come back. And we were talking about it with Glenn that, you know, they didn't necessarily we kind of harped on the theme music. That was one thing that kind of stunk, that they didn't give you guys the old theme music. But to see you guys, you didn't get the most time for the match, but to see the acceleration of your match and how you guys performed, stepping back through those ropes, being so much more seasoned than you were even then, how did it feel, though, to finally come back and step through that WWE ring and show everybody that you guys still got it?
Well, I mean, obviously it felt great. I mean, you know, and as far as the ring music goes, I could give a shit less. And to be totally honest, I couldn't even tell. I didn't hear the music. I couldn't hear the music. I couldn't tell you what the music was. I know some people focused on the music. Other people focused on that we didn't have a video behind us. I thought it was cool how the entire show, they talked about our return. Bradshaw, you know, put it over like the professional and the great, you know, announcer that he is, about us not being in that ring, you know, together for 16 years. And then to come out and get the reaction we got, and then to be able to go out there, you know, and have a great little match with Heath and Rhino, it was just awesome. And to go out there and still show that we can still go and hang with those guys and still do what we did, you know, 16 years ago was even better. But, I mean, as far as the music and the video goes and all that stuff, that meant absolutely, positively nothing to me.
Yeah, it's the little things that I think the fans, like, they start to harp on, those little, small, tiny things, because they hear the music in their heads. So they obviously, you know, they've got their face paint and their skirts on. So they want the theme music. They want the headbanger experience. But with 16 years being the difference, there's a couple different faces in the locker room, but there are a couple familiar faces. So how was it seeing those guys that maybe you haven't crossed paths with over the last 16 years?
Well, it was great. I mean, that's one of the things I love about doing, you know, shows, conventions, things like that, is you get to see the guys you haven't seen in a long time. You get to reminisce and, you know, laugh and joke about old stories. So it's great seeing them. It's great meeting the new guys, the respect. And I look at myself as anyone else who, you know, I'm just fortunate enough to have this weird job where, you know, I was on TV for a while and, you know, I'm kind of in the spotlight. But I look at myself as every other person. I'm no different, except I have this weird job. So some of the guys, I don't want to say a lot, some of the guys, you know, the respect factor you see as, you know, to put it, you know, Zack Ryder, you know, he comes up and he's like, oh my God, you know, I watched you guys when I was a kid, like I had your action figures and stuff like that. Having guys come up like that and say that to you is kind of cool because, like, when I wrestled Ricky and Robert of the Rock and Roll Express in Smoky Mountain, I brought a picture in that I took with Ricky Morton in 10th grade and had him sign it for me. So it was almost like the roles were being reversed. And again, I never looked at myself as, you know, someone that people watched and looked up to and stuff like that. So to see that, it was kind of cool. It was different because it was something that I'd never experienced before.
That's really cool to hear. That is, that's almost like a full circle thing where Ricky and Robert, it's almost apropos, too, that now they're going into the Hall of Fame. But, yeah, those are guys that they influence so many people, and now you're playing that role coming back. But I'm telling you, it was the pace of that match is as fast as it was. I mean, when you guys hit that stage dive, I mean, it was like no time passed, and it was from a fan's perspective, I got to say, it was very cool to see. But one other person who I was curious to ask this, and we didn't get to ask Glenn this when we spoke with him, but did you get a chance to see Vince, or was Vince at this show? And if he was, how was that after 16 years? Because obviously he watched you guys go through that curtain hundreds of times, and now, you guys as veterans coming back, obviously it's got to be somewhat of a different feeling. But was Vince at that SmackDown that you guys were wrestling on?
Yeah, Vince was there in his normal position at the Gorilla with headset on. And, he was there. He said hi to us when he saw us. Good luck. Go out there and do your thing. Shane was there. Obviously Shane was like, go out there and just be yourselves and have fun and do your thing. And we came back and they were like, great job. Thank you. That was awesome. And I apologize for making everyone bleed in the match, but, poop happens. But yeah, no, Vince was there. Vince was great. And, Vince has always been great. Vince is just business all the time. And a lot of people don't understand that.
Yeah, that's 100% true. Yeah, and the reason I asked if he was there or not, because we've recently talked to a couple of people who said that he wasn't. It was Gilbert. He was not at the Monday Night Raw that Gilbert was on, so that's why I wanted to ask if he was there. But coming back to SmackDown, obviously now the brands are two separate entities. Back in the day, they were just two separate shows. But do you kind of like how they've done the brand extension and allow people to go back and forth? I guess eventually, but have two separate kind of rival shows for competition within one brand?
No, I like it because it leaves the opportunity for more guys to showcase themselves. I mean, if you really think about it, they didn't split the brand. Who would you see on all the shows? You would see Kevin Owens, you'd see Jericho, you'd see, Seth Rollins, you'd see, you'd see the same guys on both shows like it always used to be before. I mean, when I was there, we had Raw and SmackDown. It was the same guys. And then you had Shotgun Saturday Night and you had Sunday Night Heat for, the mid to lower card guys like myself. But now with the brands being split, you have the opportunity for more talent. You get better storylines going. You got the competition. It's almost competition between the two shows, kind of like it was competition with WWF and WCW back in the day with the Monday Night Wars, because the locker room, at least the SmackDown locker room, they were talking about what some of the guys did on Raw, some of the storylines. Come on, let's go out there and let's do better than them and stuff like that. So I think it's a great thing the way they've done it. And to be honest with you, the way SmackDown set up in that locker room is great. I like the way they do the TV for SmackDown. I like that a little better than Raw. So, yeah, I think it's created some competition that's been missing for many, many, many years.
Now, what is the current status with the WWE? Are the Headbangers headed back there? Possibly, Headbangers American Alpha? Like, what is the status right now with the WWE?
The status right now is there is none. If they call and they ask if we're available, then we see if we're available. There's been zero talks of any kind of, permanent thing to come back. It's just they called us, and I actually got a text from Road Dogg the first time asking if we were available. And then after that, it was another text from Road Dogg, and then it was a phone call saying, hey, or then it was from Road Dogg. And then it was a call from the office the last time we were there saying, hey, they're wondering if you guys were available on Tuesday. I mean, it was left as the doors wide open. You guys did good business. You helped out the younger talent, and, is what it is. I even I had emailed Hunter about possibly doing some NXT stuff, and he said that door is possibly open also for down the road, because I think Glenn and I we can contribute in the ring. I think we've shown that, but at the same time we have a lot of knowledge we can pass on to some of the younger talent as well. So either way, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm good with it. I'm good with what I've done. I got to do the one thing I wanted to do, which was to have my son see me in that ring one time, and he got to see it 3 times. So, I'm good. I only have one thing left on my bucket list, and that's a trip to Japan.